Hi there, I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. Hopefully you're already a subscriber and you like our views on marriage and how helpful it is. You may want to consider subscribing because we really have helped a lot of people. And I'll be honest with you, our views are very different from the views of others. It's not based on Western psychological thinking. We don't unwrap problems. We don't blame people. We take a look at things objectively because I take great pride in having created a system, a process that is very methodical in nature, very positive and marriage oriented, not problem oriented. So this topic is, here are 3 ideas of what to do when your husband chooses his family over you. And that's painful. You got married to him because you love him and you want to be with him and you want him to be with you. And you want him to be with you more than his family, his birth family. And that's the way it actually should be. So hopefully what I'm going to share with you is going to help you get there. And I can go on talking quite a bit about different topics, but trust me, if you listen, you will, and even take notes, there's a lot you can get from this because it's not shallow. That I promise you. What you're going to hear is not shallow. And please don't be in a way where you're going to be offended by what you hear, because you may need to hear what you're going to hear. And I don't pull punches. Number 1, rationally get rid of the resentment that you're feeling. You have to dispassionately, meaning objectively, stand back and ask yourself, pretend you're not you, but you're the one who's answering the question. Ask yourself, why is this wife so upset about her husband spending time with his family instead of with her? Because this is a touchy topic. And the problem, why it's touchy, and look, we're not talking about the men who are like a little off the deep end. I'm assuming that your husband is not off the deep end, that he hasn't always wanted to spend more time with his family than you, but that this is something that has occurred maybe over time. And so you have to look, you have to be fair, and you have to look at yourself. You have to ask yourself, am I being jealous? Am I resentful? I would say you're definitely resentful or you wouldn't be asking this question. But what's driving it? Am I jealous? And if I'm jealous, why? Why am I jealous? Don't I have enough faith in myself and how I treat my husband, how things are in our marriage, that I'm worried? What's going on here? And this is a big problem that most of us share. The problem is that we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to go, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm pushing him away. Maybe it's not so much that he is drawn to them as much as I'm pushing him. He wants to be with people he loves, with people, more importantly, who love him. Now think about that for a minute. When you first met, you met your soulmate. You wanted to be with him all the time. He wanted to be with you all the time. You treated each other far differently than you treat each other now. That's actually a little bit crazy, because you should be treating each other differently, but better, because when you got married in order to be happier all the time to the end of your lives. You know, marriage isn't supposed to be this plateau of feelings and behavior. By the way, you're not at fault. I'm not going there. It's not your fault. First of all, we're not taught anything about marriage, so we don't know. anything about what I just said, that you're not supposed to live on this plateau of feelings and exchanges and behavior. No, you're supposed to take the beginning of your relationship with each other and continually expand the love, the happiness. That's what marriage is meant to be. But we don't learn that. You know, when you get a car, even before you get a car, you learn how to drive. But when you get married, you don't learn how to drive your marriage. And so you don't know these things. It's not your fault. But yes, you want that relationship, that connection that you have with your soulmate to be ever increasing love and happiness. So when you're saying he's spending all his time with his family, what you're really saying is he doesn't really want to spend his time with me. And you're going, that's hurtful. That hurts me. That's not what he's supposed to do. But he's human. So if you're complaining all the time, not even all the time, if you're pointing out his flaws, if you're critical, if you're even complaining about this, it's offensive. No one wants to be in that environment. He's used to being in the environment of his family. He's treated well. And so it's pretty hard for him to choose you over them. And you need to be realistic, or you're not going to heal this. Because you need to heal this by healing your marriage itself. You can't fix this. You cannot command him. You cannot manipulate him. You can't put on fancy negligee every night to attract him. It's nuts, that kind of stuff. The essence of your marriage, love and happiness, that's what has to be worked on. And you might say, well, how do I work on that, Paul? Well, you know, over 22 years ago, I was a divorce mediator, and I was able to help people separate assets and figure out times to see the kids. And when I became a marriage helper, I did the same thing. I figured out a process. You could learn a lot by watching these videos. That's why you should subscribe. You could learn more by getting one of the books that I have written. And everything is affordable. The things that we charge for are inexpensive. Or you can get the course for women, which is like the best medicine. And it's affordable, and we have plans so you don't, have to trade in your car. But you need help. And it's just not out there except for at the Marriage Foundation, and we're a nonprofit. Number 2, and this is a continuation of what I just spoke to, what I just addressed. You need to work on yourself. What does that mean? What do I mean by that? It's such an easy thing to say, right? Well, you have to start watching yourself. Oh, was I just mean with him? Was I harsh? Was I critical? Was I too pointed? Was I frowning? Or, and I know this isn't the case, was I smiling? Did I touch him? Was I loving? Did my actions come from my heart, from my love for him? Probably not. And we need to train ourselves to behave, to view. We have free will. You have free will. This is an amazing gift. Animals don't have it. Only human beings have it. It's an amazing gift. We don't use it. We use it to choose between this dress and that dress, this car and that car, this flavor and that flavor. It's insane. We have free will. We know what happiness is. We can control how we behave. We can control how we think. We can control how we see things. We can control how we hear things, how we perceive things. We need to gain control, mastery over our own mind so that we're utilizing our free will to our benefit. And that's not happening because we're not taught. It's not your fault. So that is a very important thing to do. You need to take your marriage as a whole. And where am I starting? How do I get where I want to go? Where do you want to go with your marriage? You just don't want him to spend more time with his family? That's not reasonable. Where do you want to take your marriage to make him like insanely wanting, insanely desiring to be with you all the time? What are you doing to achieve that? Time to analyze. We can help you with that. Number 3, work on yourself. Don't just analyze yourself. We don't want to condemn ourselves. We don't want to find fault and feel guilty or shameful. We want to work on it. We want to take a realistic view of ourselves. Pick a distant point. Here's who I really want to be with my husband. I want to be so loving. I want to be so attentive. I want to be who he met. I want to be that person again. And I want to evolve as that person who loves him. I want to sweep him off his feet. It's not just men who are supposed to sweep women off their feet. I want to sweep him off his feet. Make him so into me that he doesn't have time for anyone else. Only wants to be with me. There's nothing wrong with that. You're soulmates. You're supposed to spend all your time together in happiness and in love. That's why you got married to him. Now you got to make it happen. Number 3 is learn to fill your marriage with love and joy. We're not talking about just fixing behavior. You need to learn. You don't know what love is. You know, in the world, they tell us that love is an emotion. It isn't. It isn't. Don't you recall those times where you have experienced love to such a deep degree that it overwhelmed you? There's a reason for that. It's scientific. It's not science like you get from the drug companies, thank God, but it's science. What is love? The therapists, the psychologists call it an emotion, but that isn't truthful. Love is the essence of who you are. You're a soul, not religious. It's just the fact. You're a soul. You have a body. You're not your body. You know that. And you have a mind. We don't know that. In fact, if anything, we're led to believe we are the mind, but we're not. We have a mind. Proof of that is that you can decide what you're going to think right now. You can choose it. You don't have to go along with your habitual reactions to things. You can stop the mind and go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to think that way because that's just a habit. I'm really going to look at this. You have that ability. I'm not suggesting you do that right now, but you have that ability. That is the proof that your mind is a possession of yours. Yours. Well, what are you? You're the soul. God created you. There's no question about that. We didn't just come out of, I don't even want to go there, but that whole theory of evolution is correct in its place. There are evolutions, and we as human beings are supposed to evolve by learning more and more how to love, how to be happy. Those are the achievements that matter for a human being. Happiness and love. Love is something you feel, it's so deep. It's so deep. And you have experienced that, and you've also experienced, think back, you don't stay there long. You don't feel that love, and you go and you swim in it. You don't. Because the mind, and I'm taking you into what the Course teaches, and the books to some degree, because the mind, which is a possession, it's just a machine, does not want to hear that, because the mind is not spiritual. The mind is a material thing, and it has a difficult time accepting love. It's incomprehensible. Love is incomprehensible to your mind. It's true. And so a lot of people fall back into emotional love, which is a form of material love. It's not connected to your soul so much. And you want to experience the real deal with your husband. That's what you want. That love. And you want it to grow. You want, and it's already infinite, but you want your awareness of it to grow. You want the connection you have with your husband to grow. And with that comes the joy of marriage. Marriage is intended to bring us joy, intended to have ever increasing sense of that love. And we live it in a sacred space that's just you and him. But we have to learn that. And that is the third thing to do. So I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. Now, we don't have thousands yet of TMF marriage counselors. We're just training them now. If you like what you're hearing and you want to become a TMF marriage counselor, go to our enrollment page on our website. If you have a question for a TMF counselor, because we do have many now, then go to our website, ask a counselor. It's free. We're here to serve. We're a nonprofit organization. We've been around for a long time, and we're here to help you with your marriage and change the world by showing people the right way to be married, so we could fill this world that we live in with that joy and love. Because when you're feeling joy and love, everyone wants to be around you. And it's infectious. And that's what we want. Thank you so much. Like this video, please. Subscribe, please. Leave a comment if it's positive, please. God bless you. Hope to see you again. And take care. Thank you.